Good evening, Belize, and welcome to XTV's news broadcast for Tuesday, January 14th, 2025. Making the headlines tonight, authorities meet onion farmers to address concerns. Only between 10 and 15% of our roadways are paved, and another 16 miles of Philip Golson Highway to be upgraded. We take our first break and return with the news in detail. Welcome back with your news. I am Drea Espinosa. Authorities today met onion farmers from the north to address concerns regarding displacement due to importation from Mexico. This is also one of those recurring problems, and the farmers reiterate that the government needs to figure out an importation schedule that will not leave them with their products in the fields, but also address contraband. Here is Orlando Eck, chairperson of the Cooperative of Onion Farmers in Concepcion. He says the situation is similar with carrots.
As you can see here at the meeting, there's a lot of producers, and that is history. That is history because we are interested in our business, because farming is business. We want to do money, we want to do profits. So the big concern is that you see the news, and we face it too, about the carrots. Carrots has been difficult for us as when we started. The importation was closed the last week of November, but the impact of the contraband, the group, all the people will say it's legal contraband. Everybody will say that. If you go to Belize, you go to Corozal, you go to Orange Rock, and they know about it. They know about it. So in the months of December, these carrots, the big importers never buy. So the only one that was buying from us, for example, at Concepcion, was Joshua, a lady from I think it's from Belmopan. They were the only one that were buying from us. And in, for example, San Carlos, they had difficulties. And we don't want to face that. That's why we are here in this onion meeting. So we don't have to have difficult, and we are just starting. For example, the prices. The prices at onion, as you can see, was $3. We are just starting it, and the price is dropping. Wow, man. We need to do profit. As you can see, the projection that Mr. Roches is doing, people that are losing, and big losses. So we don't want to face that. So if we have a good transition, that is like we want to know, and the marketing board, what is their option for now? We have onion, yellow. We have enough yellow onion, but we might see that we don't have the purple and the white one to supply all the country. But like the minister said before in news, right? He said that with 2 weeks that people will not have yellow or white onion. He mentioned in that time carrots, but now I am mentioning it white onion and purple onion. People will not die. You see, but we will have to. We will have the onion one, the purple. No, sorry, the yellow one, so that we could supply the country. And if you understand our posture, we are out there, sunny, rainy. Every day we are there in the farm to produce a good quality. As you can see, we have good quality of yellow onion. So I think that if we do a good transition, we'll make it. As long as there is no legal contract.
Farming groups from the North, Valley of Peace, Bumba, and even Mennonites wrote a joint letter to the government on Monday for them to address their concerns. They say if the importation of onion is stopped now, the Belizean farmers can supply market. Andrew Mejia is the Director of Extension Services of the Ministry of Agriculture. He explained that this is an annual meeting organized by the Ministry of Agriculture. He added that the issue is usually during the 2-week transition period when they are stopping importation to allow for the circulation of local produce.
The onion production is coming literally like now, and the farmers want to ensure that they will be able to sell their product. They have worked hard in the field, they have toiled the soil, and it's only fair that they be given the opportunity to sell their product. So we're here this morning to present the figures to them, for them to see which district is producing and what they're producing, and what will be the total production. Now, from that, the farmers will be able to ask questions, right? As they have a right to do. They ask us the tough questions, and we're here to answer them as best as we could. There are certain production practices that also we would like to ask them about their management practices in the field. to ensure that the data that they're giving us is the data that we're presenting to at the ministry level, to ensure that when we stop importation, that we actually have the products to supply the local market. The idea here is to ensure that, one, the farmers can sell their product, and two, to ensure that the consumers can get the product in their kitchen, and also quality product. So that's basically the essence of the meeting this morning.
Do you feel like they have a little bit of maybe PTSD from last year? I remember we were in the farms last year and then we saw the vegetables in the fields and they were scared because they were rotting, and then we just had that issue in San Carlos as well. Is it that they're a little traumatized from that?
Definitely, and they have a right to be. It's a recycling issue, and we're trying our utmost best. Last year we implemented the calendarized system where we program the planting to ensure that the production would be staggered in such a way that when one community is producing and supplying the local market, when that is finished, then the other communities come in. It didn't work out as we would like because of the weather conditions. We had too much rain in November and December. Literally, we just had some rain again last week. So the issue repeated itself, especially with the carrots. And I'm glad you brought that up because it repeated itself where we had a bumper crop again, hoping that that will be resolved by this week. For the onion now, the farmers are here. They're voicing their concerns, valid concerns. We're not angry with them as a ministry. We're here to ensure them that we're doing our part to ensure that they'll be able to sell their product. Everything about this meeting today is to ensure that there is clear communication between the ministry and the farmers, and that we can assure them that they will be able to sell their product. Currently, we have closed importation of onion. There is no more importation of onion for a week, giving the farmers ample time to be able to harvest and sell their produce.
Minister of Infrastructure Development, Honorable Julius Espat, during the groundbreaking ceremony last week for the Spanish Lookout to Bullet Tree Road, spoke about the magnitude of the work that confronts his ministry. He shared that of a road network spanning about 3,000 miles, only 10 to 15% is paved. There are also over 200 villages competing for priority.
There's a lot of work to do. I pray to the Lord that all the days are like this and I don't have any rain to deal with, because I also understand that the villagers are concerned throughout the country that when it rains, we do have problems. We do have mud. We tend to slip and slide when we drive. I feel for our residents when they are slipping and sliding, but we also do too. The ministry has, in 4 years, and it's not Julius Espat, it is not the minister, it is the ministry led by the CEO and the chief engineer and all their engineers and their staff and their workers. I have the district supervisor here. I have people that work. I tell the cabinet and I tell Prime Minister, we work 365 days a year, sometimes 24 hours a day without stop. We have shifts in place. The area reps, when they request assistance from us, sometimes we don't have the resources, but they chip in, so sometimes they would put the salaries for the drivers, they would assist with sometimes fuel, and we give them the equipment, and we find ways to be able to solve our problems. And we don't run away from them. We understand what we inherited. I would like to remind, and correct me if I'm wrong, Landy, wasn't Prime Minister Dean Barrow here saying that he had, his coffers was endless, and that this would be the project that would be done immediately when they were desperately looking for support? That's the difference between both, and I'm getting a little political. Well, we are in political season, so I'm allowed. The difference between the political parties is that we don't talk too much. We come in and we bring in the private sector mentality into government and we work.
On February 3rd, works will begin for the upgrade of 16.5 miles of the Philip Colson Highway from the busy airport junction to Biscayne Village. The contract was awarded to Tycrobe & Sons for $44 million Belize dollars. The entire project is being funded through a loan from CABI and financing from Taiwan, as well as counterpart funding from the government of Belize. The works will last 2.5 years, and the government's chief engineer, Evandale Moody, explained what all it will entail.
So the project basically entails the upgrading of the Philip Colson Highway from mile 8, as I mentioned, to 24, using hot mix asphalt cement. It includes the construction of 4 new junctions, which is a roundabout junction at the airport access road, another roundabout at Lord's Bank, one at Burl Boom Junction, and a 4th one at the Old Northern Highway. Going through the Ladyville Lord's Bank area, that area will be basically transformed into a boulevard similar to what we have in Belize City between Mirab and West Track, whereby you will have 4 lanes, 2 in each direction, with a center island barrier that will be used to delineate traffic from the 2 sides. From Lord's Bank, basically tapers back into 2 lanes. However, it has 2-meter shoulders on each side up to where it terminates at Biscayne. So there's also major drainage works that we're doing within this project, definitely to improve the drainage condition within the Ladyville area. And so we will have line sidewalk side drains constructed from the airport junction all the way up to Lord's Bank as well on both sides of the highway. And that will be used to improve the drainage condition within that area, but also at the same time to provide safety access for pedestrians and also for students, because there are 2 main schools within that area. There's a primary school and there's also Ladyville Tech within that area as well. And so we'll be trying to ensure that the safety of the residents within that area are of our most top priority.
So what can commuters expect during construction on a portion of highway that already sees a lot of traffic delays?
I have to indicate that they'll have to expect that there'll be significant delays, even more than what they're having now. So we also have on our team a social specialist that will be on the ground very shortly, I believe later this week, starting to communicate with residents and also with the businesses that are along the carriageway that we'll be working. Of course, the other residents will significantly be impacted by these works. And so definitely they will have to probably leave earlier to go to Belize City, because there will be delays during the construction period. And that is one of the sections where the contractor has also indicated that he wants to commence works as well, because it is optimum that we take advantage of the dry season working within that area to see how best we could get those line drains in within that segment before we go into the rainy season.
As to the cost per mile, which comes up to about $2.6 million each, Moody explained that the stretch through Ladyville will be expanded by an additional 24 feet to allow for the 4 lanes. They will also have to relocate the infrastructure that is within the road reserve, and while some project funds will go toward that purpose, Moody says the public utility companies will also have to chip in. Moody advises residents from now that just as with the stretch from Mirab to West Track, they will have to travel the distance between the roundabouts before they can turn back. In court news, 2 Gardena residents were arraigned on Monday in relation to 2 automatic rifles that were shipped in parts spread across 6 barrels. The parts were declared as motorcycle parts. When customs officials searched the barrels, they discovered the disassembled parts for an M4 carbine and another rifle. Neither had serial numbers. The shipment arrived from California several weeks ago. The couple who went to pick up the barrels were detained and charged with kept firearm without a gun license and illicit trafficking of firearm. They are 53-year-old Dinsdale Flowers and 55-year-old Irene Dawson. They pleaded not guilty and were remanded until March 13, 2025. After the break, Belize City looking for investors to fund larger municipal projects. Stay with us.
dead. Freetown Drugstore, telephone 223-2876.
Towards the end of November, there was a disruption in the scheduled collection of garbage in Belize City due to a disruption in the payment schedule to sanitation contractor Belize Waste Control. It usually happens during the slow season for the collection of taxes. Today, Mayor Bernard Wagner wouldn't admit if central government had provided a bailout. He merely said Prime Minister John Briceño acted as a mediator between the two parties.
We are paying those outstanding, the outstanding. It's always a cash flow problem, my brother. Cash flow is how you manage it, right? During the slow season, there will be a slowdown of revenues coming into the council coffers, and so it's about managing it. But we are, as we speak, keeping up to our obligation with Belize Waste Control as a city.
So there wasn't a bailout or a deposit made by central?
We had very good discussions with the Prime Minister, and he helped us a lot in really getting the parties to the table and formulating a plan. And that plan is being adhered to as we speak.
Not necessarily a bailout.
I can't speak on bailout, but I am saying that I'm thankful for the Prime Minister for engaging us and having that meeting and really leading us with the other stakeholder to reach a solution that is beneficial for both parties.
On the topic of garbage, Wagner said he still wants to see a garbage fee implemented in Belize City.
Well, I have not shy away from that. I have been saying this for years that we, the residents must. It's your garbage that you are creating, and the city has a responsibility to ensure that we are not utilizing funds that would be normally used for street rehabilitation and other operational expenses to pay your garbage, to pick up your garbage. That has to be at some point addressed. Why is Belize City different from all the other municipalities? You ask yourself that question. All the other municipalities have legislation to collect a garbage fee, and so I have not shied away from that. I do believe that we have residents who want to pay. I have had many discussions with residents who say, Mayor, we want to pay a garbage fee because we are a responsible contributor to our city.
The Belize City Council this morning held an investment forum in order to encourage individuals and entities to invest in the city. The council intends to use these funds to develop larger community projects such as street rehabilitation, e-mobility projects, and the development of parks and recreational areas. Mayor of Belize Bernard Wagner said that the practice is not uncommon.
We are looking for investors. It could be institutional investors, pension fund, insurance companies, corporations, banks, but also the retail investor who wants a greater return on his or her investment. And so we, as a city grow, sometimes you don't have adequate funding to really drive development in the city. And so we wanted to start 2025 by engaging the investor and selling our product, which is the municipal paper, note, or bond.
How unconventional is an approach like this, and is this approach perhaps influenced by your financial background?
No, the municipal securities is not a novel idea. It has been out there for years. The city of New York float bonds each and every day. As a matter of fact, their bonds, when I last checked for the city of New York, they had a ceiling of close to $132 billion. And so we are less modest, of course. But the good thing about this is that we now have the structure in place, the legislation. So we have the oversight body, which is the FSC, which really regulates institutions who seek to do securities.
Wagner said that funds collected through taxes and other fees are not enough to pay for larger projects. He said that there is already a large amount of money sitting idly inside local banks that could be put to good use.
Taxes is used for your day-to-day operation, but if you are engaging in capital projects, huge projects at street infrastructure, parks and playgrounds, expansion of your e-mobility project, you need significant capital, and you will never be able to get those capital on a day-to-day basis of property taxes, trade license, or liquor license, or traffic fees. So you have to be able to access the market in the Belize market. The last time we checked, there was close to 700 million in the banking system that is sitting in the banking sector, and those funds can be utilized to drive development within a city, especially like Belize City, which is a growing city. We have over 730 odd streets. People want to walk on decent street, people want to drive on decent street, but how can we as a municipality able to drive that development? The only way we can do it is through seeking capital from the other investors.
Ultimately, the city's residents will pay back what are essentially loans. However, Wagner said there are already systems in place for the city to collect revenue to help towards this.
Of course, at the end of the day, it will be the taxpayers through financial management, of course. Bonds have a structure that is set in place by the legislation, which speaks to the fact that if you are floating bonds between over 5 to 10 years, you require that sinking fund to be put in place. And that sinking fund is just an allotment of where your subvention that normally would come to you, you send it to that sinking fund. We have we are fortunate to have a head tax from the Belize Tourism Board that also goes into that head sinking fund. So at the end of the day, you're looking at approximately $300,000 per month going into the sinking fund. And if you do the math over 1 year and you do it for further over 10 years, you will have adequate funds in that sinking fund to repay those bonds when they mature.
Close to 1,000 Guatemalan students who cross into Belize daily to study at schools in Benque and San Ignacio were delayed an entry at the western border on Monday. The students are assigned border cards, but they must be checked in by immigration officers, and the report is that while 2 officers have been designated solely to process the students, it has become insufficient. The issue, we are told, is the ballooning number of students, which now stands at just over 900. That is double the figure almost a decade ago. The number from last year to this year has also increased. In other news, the Palestinian Liberation Organization, PLO, a political organization also comprising paramilitary groups, is recognized by over 100 countries as the sole legitimate representative of the Palestinian people. It was established in 1964 with the objective of creating the independent state of Palestine. On invitation of the Belize People's Front, BPF, PLO Commissioner Mohammed Salam, who is also coordinator of the anti-apartheid department of the PLO, arrived in Belize for a historic visit today with other PLO representatives. The primary purpose of the visit is to sign a baptism agreement with the PBF on mutual collaboration between the 2 entities. However, the delegation will also meet with the Prime Minister John Briceño and will be hosted for lunch by Minister Karim Musa and former Prime Minister Said Musa. They will also visit the University of Belize. On arrival at the airport, Salam spoke about his expectations from the visit.
We are looking forward, to have some discussion with the Prime Minister to enforce the ICC decisions, the ICJ decision, and also hopefully we can stop the settlement product coming to Belize, if any, on the agriculture thing. And also we are hoping to have hopefully some kind of scholarship between the University of Belize and also the Palestinian universities in Palestine. Our visit is very important to, first of all, to thank Belize for their stance, on what's going on in Palestine. Belize was one of the countries that stood, with the Palestinian people after the October 7th genocide war that Israel committed. They also signed up on the ICC case, with South Africa, and they are very helpful, toward us. And we hope, this relationship will continue, and we will cement that as well with other visits from other officials, in the years to come.
Salam provided a succinct rejection of Hamas being the reason for the ongoing Israel massacre in Gaza.
Hamas is not the reason. The war and the Palestinian struggle did not start on October 7th. The Palestinian struggle has been going on since the early of 1900s. So this is an excuse from the Israelis to commit genocide against the Palestinian people and to rid Gaza from the population and to reoccupy it again and to have more land, for the settlers coming from all over the world. It doesn't give the Israelis any right for someone who's born, let's say, in Belize, and because he or she is a Jew, to go and live in Palestine, while we don't. So Hamas did not start this war on October 7th. Hamas, it happened to have that, what happened on October 7th, because it's a result of what the Israelis have been committing against us, the Palestinians, for all these years, not now.
Nancy Marin, leader of the Belize People's Front, explained the reason for the courtesy call on the Prime Minister.
I also arranged for him to meet with the current government. I mean, it is important. They are the people in authority, and we respect that. But our relationship with the anti-apartheid department of the PLO has nothing to do with who is in power in this country. I think that when it comes to something that goes so wrong, like what happened in Palestine, and when it comes to the education of our people, it doesn't matter who is in power. We collaborate, and I've always collaborated with this current Prime Minister.
In a release, Marin is quoted as saying, "This collaboration is not just a political gesture, but a commitment to educating our youth about the importance of justice and the rights of all people to live in peace." Next week, the 18-month project to upgrade the Bullet Tree Road to the Spanish Lookout community will begin. Cayo Northeast Area Representative Honorable Orlando Habet said they had been lobbying for years under the previous administration to have the important thoroughfare upgraded due to the heavy traffic it supports.
We have hundreds and hundreds of workers who move from Bullet Tree Village, from San Ignacio even, that come through the side and work in Spanish Lookout. We have farmers who also have access to their farms through this road. And as I mentioned, very important because about 60 or 70% of all the cattle that goes to Guatemala passes through this road. All the corn and all the beans that is exported also passes through this road. And when we have these flooding events, it is absolutely important because then, apart from those commodities, we have chicken, beef, eggs, milk, ice cream, you name it. All the food items that have to pass through here when the lower-lying bridges are closed. So it is important. But the communication aspect is also important because it provides that facility for people to move around. I think the pavement of the road also will increase the values of those properties along the road and maybe even beyond, especially those people who might even have their farms for sale. Also, the fact that we have areas where we can try to promote tourism. We have a sinkhole in Santa Familia where many people do not know, and it will afford that communication, that transportation to this area where we can build and also get the communities involved to provide some of those aspects for tourism.
The old Hollover Bridge has been dismantled and a section will be used for a bridge that will go up in Santa Familia. The Minister of Infrastructure Development also announced that if the PUP wins the next elections, they will place a bridge where the Baking Pot Ferry is. After the break, Mayor Wagner says Belize City is safe despite U.S. travel advisory. Stay tuned.
Marlon Castillo, quality.
your fingertips.
52-year-old interdicted police constable Peter Graham was arraigned on Monday for theft of $550 from J&Y Block Factory in Belize City. He was granted bail of $1,500 and is set to reappear in court on March 13, 2025. As part of his bail conditions, he must sign in every Monday at the Mahogany Heights Police Station and avoid contact with the complainant and witnesses. With general elections approaching, Minister of New Growth Industries Honorable Kareem Musa reflected on the new ministry and the potential industries that were identified. Musa did admit the ministry was created mostly to push the legalization of cannabis, which he still feels can happen, given that it is a big industry internationally.
It definitely opened up a whole realm of possibilities. It does require, however, that we amend a lot of legislation to assist industries like the Kahuna industry moving forward. And so I think that while it is that the main focus of creating the new industry was to see how we can introduce cannabis as one of those industries, I think there are so many other bright ideas that have come forward, and hopefully even the orange economy, the film industry, the music industry, these can be put as priorities in the next administration.
As we reported during Monday night's newscast on December 30, the U.S. Department of State issued a travel advisory for the country of Belize. Overall, the country received a Level 2 warning due to high crime. U.S. residents were urged to travel with increased caution. However, Belize City received a Level 3 warning where U.S. residents are asked to reconsider their travel plans. Today, Mayor Bernard Wagner said that Belize City is safe.
I'm always disappointed when those sort of warnings are issued. Belize City is a safe country. I've been to worse countries in regionally and internationally, so Belize is safe.
Some of Belize City's streets are in less than desirable condition due to many rainy days dating back to November. The mayor said that the city council was waiting for the rains to subside before tackling the issue. He also said they are hoping to get investors through their investment forum to fund street rehabilitation and even the creation of new streets.
We are waiting until the rains to subside. I'm glad that finally we are seeing some letting up in the rain. But again, we do not shy away from the fact that climate change is here. But we, as a progressive entity, has to find the required capital to do the retrofitting, rehabilitation of those streets.
And so perhaps does this play a role in that, the rehabilitation of those streets, capital through securities?
Of course, getting the sort of capital that you want, you'll be able to not only rehabilitate streets but build new streets. And everywhere the city is growing. You see it in Belama Phase 5, you see it in the Jane Usher area, all across this city. People want streets, people want decent streets. And we as a municipality have to be proactive, and that is why we had this investment forum.
In police news, a 54-year-old Guyanese man visiting Belize reported being robbed by a young woman with whom he was socializing. According to Raymond Leonard, he took the woman, who appeared to be in her early 20s, to his room at a Belize City hotel. He claims that after about an hour, he went to the bathroom, and when he returned, the woman was gone. Missing was his iPhone 12 Plus and $1,700 in cash from his bag. Police have retrieved surveillance footage and are searching for the woman. And with that, we have come to the end of our newscast. A repeat can be viewed on the station later tonight at 9 and again Thursday at midday. Join us again Thursday for another news broadcast. I am Drea Espinosa. Have a safe and enjoyable George Price Day holiday.